After the final bell rang at Jefferson Elementary School that Monday afternoon, 11-year-old Lily Harper clutched her examination paper to her chest and smiled. Not the small, polite smile she usually gave her teachers, but a full, radiant grin that made her blue-green eyes sparkle like sunlight on water. "I did it, Miss Olivia," she called out to the woman waiting by the school gate, not her teacher, but the neighbor who had become so much more. "I think I passed. I really think I passed all of them." Olivia Bennett, a 32-year-old small business owner with auburn hair and hands, always stained with the natural ingredients from her handmade candle business, felt her heart swell. She knew how hard Lily had studied, often by the dim light of a single lamp in their cramped apartment when the electricity bill had been paid, her small frame hunched over borrowed textbooks that were held together with tape and prayers. "I never doubted you for a moment, sweetheart," Olivia said, pulling the girl into a hug. The clothes Lily wore, a carefully pressed lavender dress that Olivia had given her 3 months ago, still looked almost new. Lily was the type of child who took care of things, who understood the value of gifts because she had learned too early that nothing was guaranteed. As they walked back through the streets of South Memphis, Tennessee, past the corner stores with barred windows, past the bus stops where tired workers waited in the oppressive June heat, past the boarded-up houses that stood like tombstones to better times, Lily chattered about her exams. Mathematics had been tricky, but she had remembered the formula. English was good. Social studies was her favorite. Olivia listened, but a small part of her mind wandered to the stack of unpaid orders waiting at her small workshop in the garage. Business had been slow lately. The economy was squeezing everyone in their neighborhood, but looking at Lily's joy, she pushed the worry aside. Some moments were too precious to taint with financial anxiety. They turned onto Winchester Avenue, toward the apartment building where both their families lived. In the typical low-income housing arrangement, thin walls that shared every sound, children playing in the parking lot while mothers worked double shifts and fathers juggled multiple jobs just to keep the lights on. "Miss Olivia, my stomach hurts a little," Lily said suddenly, her brightness dimming just slightly. "It's been bothering me since lunch." Olivia looked down at her, concerned. "What kind of hurt? Sharp or dull?" "Just uncomfortable, like something is pressing." Lily rubbed her abdomen absently. "Maybe I ate too fast. You know how short the lunch period is. Come on, let me make you some ginger tea when we get home," Olivia said. "And you'll rest a bit before helping me with the candle making this evening, okay?" Lily nodded, but Olivia noticed she had stopped skipping alongside her. The girl was walking a bit slower now, one hand pressed lightly against her stomach. When they reached the apartment complex, they found Lily's father, David Harper, preparing to leave for his evening shift as a janitor at the FedEx corporate headquarters in East Memphis. He was the thin man whose shoulders seemed to carry weight beyond the physical, the weight of being a widower with 3 children in a country that showed no mercy to the struggling. "Papa!" Lily called out, and for a moment, the pain seemed forgotten as she ran to him. "I finished my exams." "My smart girl," he said, touching her head with a calloused hand. His smile was weary but genuine. "Soon you'll be a doctor or a lawyer, and you'll take care of your old man in his retirement, right?" It was their running joke, though both of them knew that dreams like that required money for high school, money for college, money they didn't have. But David always said it anyway because hope cost nothing, and sometimes hope was all they had. "I'll be anything you want, Papa," Lily said, hugging him around the waist. "Even president. Aim high, sweetheart. Aim high." He kissed the top of her head, then glanced at Olivia with gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you for picking her up again. I don't know what we would do without you." "We're family, David. You know that," Olivia said softly. After David left for work, Olivia took Lily upstairs to their apartment unit 2C, right next to Olivia's 2D. Lily's younger siblings, 10-year-old Emma and 6-year-old Noah, were already home, being watched by Olivia's husband, Marcus, who worked from home as a freelance graphic designer when clients were available. "How did it go?" Marcus asked, his face crinkling into a smile. "She aced it, I'm sure," Olivia said. "But she's not feeling well. I'm going to make her some tea." "Stomach?" Marcus asked, his smile fading slightly. "Yes. Probably just nerves from the exams." But as Olivia made the tea and watched Lily curl up on the threadbare couch, one hand still pressed against her stomach, a small knot of worry formed in her chest. Lily wasn't the type to complain about pain. She had learned, like so many children in poverty, to be tough, to push through, to not be a burden. If she was saying it hurt, it probably hurt more than she was letting on. Drink this slowly, Olivia said, handing her the steaming mug. And if it doesn't get better in an hour or two, we'll figure out what to do, okay? Lily nodded, sipping the tea carefully. It's probably nothing, Miss Olivia. I don't want to be a bother. You could never be a bother, baby girl. Never. But as the afternoon wore on, Olivia watched Lily closely. The girl tried to help with the candle making as usual, measuring out the vanilla essential oil and stirring the wax mixture, but Olivia could see her wincing. By dinner time, when Olivia brought over a plate of spaghetti for the kids, Lily barely touched it. Not hungry? Olivia asked gently. My stomach. Lily's voice was smaller now, tighter. It hurts more now, Miss Olivia, and I feel a little sick. Olivia pressed her hand to Lily's forehead. No fever, which was good. But the way Lily was holding herself, slightly bent forward, protective of her abdomen, that wasn't good. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is the pain? Lily thought about it. Maybe 6, 7 when I move. Olivia's worry deepened. She pulled out her phone and called David. It went straight to voicemail. He was probably doing rounds and had his phone silenced. She left a message. David, it's Olivia. Lily's stomach pain is getting worse. I'm keeping an eye on her, but call me when you get this. By 8 p.m., Lily was crying softly, curled into a ball on Olivia's couch. Olivia had moved her to her own apartment so she could watch her more closely while Emma and Noah stayed with Marcus. It hurts so bad, Miss Olivia, Lily whimpered. It hurts so bad. Olivia's hands trembled as she stroked Lily's hair. She had never seen the girl like this. Lily, who had once walked on a sprained ankle for 2 days before admitting it hurt. Lily, who had gone to school with a fever because she didn't want to miss the test. Lily was tough as nails. This was serious. She called David again. Still no answer. She called the nurse hotline, the free one she had found online. After 20 minutes on hold and 10 minutes of questions, the nurse said, given her symptoms and the severity, I would recommend taking her to the emergency room to rule out appendicitis or other acute conditions. Emergency room. Olivia's stomach dropped. She knew what that meant. Even with Medicaid, there would be co-pays, bills, follow-ups. And if they didn't have Medicaid, she knew David had been struggling with the paperwork. Something about his hours being cut, making them ineligible, but his income still too low to afford private insurance. But she looked at Lily, this beautiful child who was now pale and sweating, and knew there was no choice. Okay, sweetheart, Olivia said, trying to keep her voice steady. We're going to the hospital. Can you walk to the car? Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Olivia helped her up, grabbed her purse, and texted Marcus. Asterisk. Taking Lily to Baptist Memorial ER. Stomach pain severe. Please watch Emma and Noah. Will update. Asterisk. The drive to Baptist Memorial Hospital felt endless. Every bump in the road made Lily cry out. Olivia drove as carefully as she could while also trying to hurry. One hand on the wheel and one reaching back to hold Lily's hand. You're going to be okay, Olivia kept saying. You're going to be okay. But a voice in the back of her head whispered, Asterisk. What if she's not? What if this is serious? What if there isn't enough money? What if? Asterisk. Meanwhile, across town in the exclusive gated community of Germantown, another world existed entirely. Jefferson Cole stood in his marble-floored study, looking out over the perfectly manicured lawn of his estate. At 45, he was everything Memphis society pages loved to photograph: tall, distinguished, with silver threading through his dark hair in that way that made men look refined rather than old. His custom-tailored suit probably cost more than David Harper made in 3 months. Jefferson Cole was a billionaire, not the flashy kind who courted media attention, but the old money kind whose family name was on hospital wings and university buildings. Cole Industries had been a Memphis institution for 3 generations, starting with his grandfather's cotton operations and evolving into a diversified empire of real estate, manufacturing, and healthcare investments. Daddy? His daughter Harper, named after his grandmother, not knowing she shared a surname with a struggling family across town, appeared in the doorway. At 17, Harper Cole was beautiful in that effortless way money afforded. Clear skin from expensive dermatologists, perfect teeth from top orthodontists, glossy hair from salon treatments that cost hundreds of dollars. Yes, sweetheart? Jefferson smiled at his only child, the center of his universe since his wife, Elizabeth, had died 5 years ago from cancer. Even with all his money, all his connections to the best doctors in the world, cancer had still won. I finished my college application essays. Want to read them? Of course. He took the papers from her hand, noting the letterhead. Harper was applying to Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Stanford. She would get in anywhere she wanted. Her grades were excellent, her test scores perfect, and even if they weren't, the Cole name opened doors that remained firmly shut for most. As he read her personal essay about overcoming the loss of her mother and finding purpose in charity work, he felt proud. Harper was a good kid. She volunteered at the food bank twice a month. She had organized a coat drive last winter. She genuinely wanted to make a difference. But as Jefferson read her words about understanding struggle and connecting with the less fortunate, a small, uncomfortable thought nagged at him. Harper had never struggled. Not really. She had grieved. Yes, grief was the one thing money couldn't prevent, but she had grieved in a mansion, with a therapist on call, with the security of knowing every material need would always be met. It's excellent, honey, he said, handing the papers back. You're going to do great things. Thanks, Daddy. Harper kissed his cheek. Oh, I almost forgot Mrs. Patterson called. The hospital gala is next month, and they need you to approve the final budget. Jefferson nodded. The annual Cole Foundation Gala at Baptist Memorial Hospital, where Memphis's elite gathered to write checks and feel good about themselves. Last year, they had raised $2.3 million in one night, money that went to new equipment, research, programs, good work, important work. But Jefferson never thought about the emergency room 20 floors below the gleaming event space. Never thought about the families waiting there, praying their insurance would cover the tests, hoping the bill wouldn't destroy them. Why would he? That wasn't his world. His phone buzzed, his assistant confirming tomorrow's meeting with the board. Cole Industries was considering acquiring another hospital system, expanding their healthcare portfolio. It was good business. Hospitals always made money, especially if you managed them efficiently. I'm heading to bed, Harper said. Big day tomorrow, SAT prep, then volleyball practice, then that college fair at school. Get some rest. Sweetheart. Love you. Love you too, Daddy. After she left, Jefferson poured himself a scotch, a 30-year-old single malt that cost $500 a bottle, and returned to the window. Memphis sprawled below, a city of stark contrasts he rarely thought about. His Germantown mansion, the country clubs, the private schools, the charity galas, that was his Memphis. He didn't think about South Memphis, about Winchester Avenue, about apartments where families of 4 lived in spaces smaller than his garage. He didn't think about David Harper, working a night shift at his corporate headquarters, cleaning the offices where Jefferson made decisions worth millions. Why would he? Their paths would never cross. Except tonight, they would. Because while Jefferson Cole sipped his expensive scotch in his mansion, David Harper's daughter Lily was being rushed into the emergency room of Baptist Memorial Hospital, the same hospital where Jefferson's name was carved in granite above the entrance, where his foundation held galas, where his company's investments helped determine policies and procedures. 2 families, 1 city, 2 Americans. And in the next 72 hours, their worlds would collide in ways neither could imagine. The emergency room at Baptist Memorial was exactly what Olivia had feared. Packed, chaotic, and running with the efficiency of a machine designed to sort people by their ability to pay. They waited for 45 minutes just to get to the registration desk, Lily leaning heavily against Olivia, soft whimpers escaping despite her efforts to be brave. Name? The registration clerk asked, barely looking up from her computer. Lily Harper, she's 11. Severe abdominal pain. Insurance? I'm not sure. Her father handles that. He's at work, but I'm her. Olivia hesitated. What was she? Not family, not legal guardian, just a neighbor who loved this child like her own. The clerk looked up now, eyebrows raised. You're not the parent or legal guardian? I'm her neighbor. I take care of her. Her father is working and she needs to be seen now. She's in severe pain. I need parental consent for treatment of a minor, unless it's immediately life-threatening. How do you know it's not life-threatening until someone examines her? Olivia's voice rose, despite her efforts to stay calm. The clerk sighed, the sigh of someone who have had this conversation 1,000 times. Let me get a supervisor. Another 20 minutes passed. Lily was now sitting on the floor because there were no chairs available, her head in Olivia's lap. Olivia had tried calling David 8 more times. Nothing. If you want Lily to survive, hit the subscribe button now. Finally, a supervisor came, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, with kind eyes that had seen too much. Given the severity of the child's symptoms, we can examine her under emergency protocols, she said. But we will need parental consent for any procedures or treatment beyond examination. And someone will need to provide insurance information or financial arrangements. Just please help her, Olivia pleaded. Please. They were taken back to a curtained-off area in the emergency department. A nurse came, took Lily's vitals, asked questions. Temperature, 99.1 degrees Fahrenheit, slightly elevated. Blood pressure, elevated, probably from pain. Heart rate, fast, also likely from pain and fear. Then more waiting. Olivia checked her phone obsessively. Finally, at 10:47 p.m., David called back. Olivia? What's wrong? I saw your messages. My phone was locked in my locker during shift. It's Lily. We're at Baptist Memorial ER. Severe stomach pain. They've examined her, but they're waiting for your consent before they can do more. She heard David's sharp intake of breath, then the sound of him running. I'm coming. I'm leaving now. Tell them I'm coming. David, are you still on the clock? You can't afford to lose this job. I don't care about the job. That's my daughter. His voice broke. I'm coming. 40 minutes later, David burst through the ER doors, still in his janitor's uniform, smelling of cleaning chemicals and fear. His face was pale, his eyes wild. Where is she? Where's Lily? Olivia stood and grabbed his hands. She's here. She's okay. Come on. They went back to the curtained area where Lily lay on a gurney. Now with an IV in her arm, they had at least given her fluids and something for the pain, which had taken the edge off. Papa, Lily whispered, reaching for him. I'm here, baby. Papa's here. David took her hand, and Olivia saw tears rolling down his weathered face. I'm so sorry I wasn't there. I'm so sorry. A doctor appeared, young, competent-looking, with the particular exhaustion that comes from ER shifts. Dr. Sarah Kim, according to her badge. Mr. Harper? I'm Dr. Kim. Your daughter's symptoms are concerning. The pain in her lower right abdomen, the elevated white blood cell count, the rebound tenderness. These are all consistent with appendicitis. I would like to order a CT scan to confirm. And if it is appendicitis, she'll need surgery tonight. Surgery, David repeated, the word heavy in his mouth. Appendicitis is serious, Mr. Harper. If the appendix ruptures, it can lead to peritonitis, which is life-threatening. With children, we don't like to wait. Do it, David said immediately. Whatever she needs, do it. Dr. Kim nodded. I'll need you to sign consent forms, and someone from billing will need to speak with you about your insurance. There it was. The money conversation. I have Medicaid, David said quietly. At least, I think I do. They sent me a letter saying the kid's qualified. That's good, Dr. Kim said kindly. That should cover the surgery. Let me get the forms. But after she left, a different person appeared, a man in business casual with a tablet, from the billing department. Mr. Harper? I need to verify your insurance information before we can proceed with the CT scan. David pulled out his wallet with shaking hands, producing a worn Medicaid card. The billing rep scanned it, typed something, frowned. Sir, this card shows as inactive in our system. When did you last use it? Inactive? No, that can't be right. They sent me a letter 2 months ago saying the kid's qualified. Let me check. More typing, more frowning. It looks like there was a renewal requirement that wasn't completed. The coverage lapsed on May 1st. The world seemed to tilt under David's feet. That can't. I filled out the forms. I sent them in. Sometimes there are processing delays or additional documentation required. Do you have any other insurance through your employer? David's laugh was bitter. I'm a janitor, part-time, no benefits. I see. The billing rep's face showed practiced sympathy. He had done this before too. Well, without active insurance, we'll need to discuss payment options before we can proceed with the CT scan. The scan itself is approximately $3,000. And if surgery is required, that will be an additional $25,000 to $40,000 depending on complexity. The numbers hit like physical blows. $3,000, $25,000, $40,000. It doesn't hurt anymore, she whispered, a small smile on her face, before she drifted back to sleep. David held her hand and cried tears of relief, of exhaustion, of despair about the bills that would come, of rage at a system that made him feel this way in what should have been a moment of pure gratitude. Olivia stayed with him through the night, neither of them sleeping, both of them watching Lily breathe. Meanwhile, across town, Jefferson Cole slept peacefully in his mansion, completely unaware that his company owned a stake in the hospital where Lily Harper fought for her life, unaware that his investments were part of the system that made people choose between health and financial survival. Why would he know? It was just business. The next morning, Lily was more alert. The pain medication kept her comfortable, and the doctors were pleased with how she was recovering. She would probably be discharged in 2 days, as predicted. David had called in sick to work if he even still had a job after leaving mid-shift. He would deal with that later. Right now, his daughter needed him. Emma and Noah came to visit, brought by Marcus, who had taken his own kids to school and then picked up Lily's siblings. They were scared but trying to be brave, just like their big sister. "When are you coming home, Lily?" little Noah asked, clutching her hand. "Soon," Lily promised. "And then I'll read you stories again, okay?" "Okay," Noah said, satisfied with that answer in the way only a 6-year-old could be. After the kids left, a woman from the hospital's financial services department appeared. She had a kind face, but carried an iPad like a weapon. "Mr. Harper? I'm Jessica from financial counseling. Do you have a few minutes to discuss the costs of Lily's care?" David's stomach dropped, but he nodded. "Let me just step outside so Lily doesn't hear." In the hallway, Jessica pulled up a preliminary bill. "This isn't final. Charges are still coming in, but as of now, you're looking at approximately $47,000. That includes the CT scan, surgery, anesthesia, 2 days estimated hospital stay, medications, and physician fees. $47,000. The number was so absurd it almost didn't feel real. David made about $18,000 a year. This was more than 2.5 years of his income, for 3 days of medical care. "I can't pay that," he said simply. "I don't have that kind of money. I'll never have that kind of money." "I understand," Jessica said, and she did seem genuinely sympathetic. "Let's look at your options. First, we need to get your Medicaid situation sorted out. If you had coverage that lapsed, we can help you file an appeal and backdate it. How long does that take? Usually 30 to 60 days, maybe longer. And until then, the bill will be in your name. We can set up a payment plan, but I need to be honest. Even with a payment plan, this will likely go to collections if Medicaid doesn't come through. Collections, credit ruined, wage garnishment, the poverty trap closing tighter. There's also charity care," Jessica continued. "Based on your income, you should qualify for at least partial write-off. But you'll need to provide documentation, tax returns, pay stubs, proof of expenses. How much would charity care cover? It varies. Maybe 50–70% if you qualify for the full program. So even with charity care, he would still owe $15,000, $20,000, still impossible." "What if I just don't pay?" David asked. "What happens? The hospital will send the bill to collections after 120 days. They'll report it to credit bureaus, which will tank your credit score. They might garnish your wages, though there are limits on that. They can't take your house if you own one." "I don't own anything," David said bitterly. "I rent a 2-bedroom apartment and share it with 3 kids. Jessica nodded, making notes. "Let's start with the Medicaid appeal and the charity care application. That's your best path forward. I'll get you the forms." After she left, David stood in the hospital corridor, feeling crushed by the weight of systems designed to extract every possible dollar from people who had nothing to give. He thought about Jefferson Cole, whose name was literally carved in marble downstairs. He thought about the gleaming lobby, the state-of-the-art equipment, the beautiful building, all built on the backs of people like him, drowning in medical debt. Inside the room, Lily was asleep again. Is her small body healing from surgery it had taken a neighbor's life savings just to diagnose? And David thought, this isn't right. None of this is right. But what could he do? He was one man, poor, powerless, exhausted. He could do nothing except sign the charity care forms and hope. Meanwhile, Jefferson Cole was having a very different kind of morning. He sat in the boardroom of Cole Industries, surrounded by executives in expensive suits, reviewing quarterly earnings. Healthcare division is up 12%, his CFO reported. The hospital investments are performing well above projections. What's driving that? Jefferson asked. Increased patient volume. Plus, we've streamlined billing procedures to improve collection rates. We've reduced charity care payouts by 8% while staying within regulatory requirements. Reduced charity care. Improve collection rates. Translation. They were squeezing more money out of sick people. Jefferson nodded approvingly. Good work. What about the expansion into the Memphis market? Baptist Memorial is still on the table. If we acquire their system, we would control 40% of the healthcare market in Shelby County. More approving nods around the table. It was just business. Good business. No one mentioned the David Harpers of the world. The single fathers working night shifts who would never afford the care provided in the hospitals that made coal industries so profitable. After the meeting, Jefferson returned to his office and found Harper waiting for him, laptop open. Dad, I need your signature on my volunteer hours verification, she said. For my college applications. Jefferson signed without really reading something about her work at the community center, tutoring underprivileged kids. You're doing good work, sweetheart, he said absently, already thinking about the next meeting. Thanks. Oh, and Mrs. Patterson confirmed the hospital gala. She said they're hoping to raise $3 million this year for the new pediatric wing. That's ambitious. But important, right? Every kid deserves good health care. Jefferson looked at his daughter so earnest, so well-meaning, and felt that uncomfortable twinge again. Yes, he agreed. Every kid deserves good health care. But as Harper left, he didn't think about how that health care would be paid for. Didn't think about the families who would be bankrupted by the very wing his foundation would build. Didn't think about the contradiction between charity galas and collection agencies. He simply returned to work, to the comfortable distance between his world and the suffering that funded it. On the second day of Lily's hospital stay, complications began.